Hamas. In return, Israel will allow more humanitarian and medical aid into Gaza. The mediating country said that aid would leave Qatar for Egypt on Wednesday before being taken across the Rafah border crossing. The International Committee of the Red Cross will coordinate the aid on the ground. The United States welcomed the Gaza aid agreement. National Security Council spokesperson Adrian Watson said that the Biden administration welcomed the announcement by Qatar on deal to deliver medicine to the hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. The Israeli army released a video on Tuesday showing another Hamas tunnel under Gaza's main north-south highway. Part of the footage was captured by a body cam mounted on a soldier going through a tunnel and walking around the underground structures. The IDF says the tunnel was used by Hamas gunmen to travel between North and South Gaza undetected. The route, which stretches for hundreds of meters, is approximately 9 meters deep, and it was used by Hamas for the transfer of terrorists from northern to southern Gaza. Israelis released from captivity in Gaza reconvened on Tuesday to hold a solemn first birthday ceremony for the infant of a family still held hostage. Kafir Bibas was 8 months old when Hamas stormed kibbutz near Oz on October 7th as part of a cross-border killing spree in southern Israel. He became the youngest of around 240 people taken back to Gaza Strip as captives. Kafir would turn 1 year old on Thursday, at which point he would have spent a third of his life as a hostage. The U.S. military carried out new strikes in Yemen on Tuesday against anti-ship ballistic missiles in a Houthi-controlled part of the country. The White House said additional U.S. strikes on Tuesday took out ballistic missile Houthis were ready to launch. During the strikes, one of the missiles struck a Greek-owned vessel in the Red Sea. Attacks by Iran-allied Houthi terrorists on the ships in the region since November have affected companies and alarmed major powers. France, on its part, clearly said that it chose not to take part in the US-led strikes because it wants to avoid a regional escalation. President Emmanuel Macron said that the country has a defensive approach in the Red Sea and would stick to its stance. Meanwhile, in a bid to cut off their funding and supply of weapons, US President Joe Biden's administration plans to put Houthi rebels back on a US list of terrorist organizations. Pakistan said that neighboring Iran has violated its airspace, resulting in the death of 2 children. The reaction came hours after Iranian missiles targeted 2 bases of terrorist group Jaish al-Adl on Tuesday. Islamabad warned that the incident could have serious consequences and was completely unacceptable in a statement released by Pakistan's Foreign Office spokesperson. They launched a protest with Tehran, and the head of the Iranian mission in Islamabad had been called to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. On Monday, Iran's elite revolutionary guards attacked targets in Iraq and Syria with missiles. Jaish al-Adl has previously mounted attacks on Iranian security forces in the border area with Pakistan. We get to updates on Russia-Ukraine war now. 2 Russian missiles were struck. The missile struck a residential area in the center of Ukraine's Kharkiv on Tuesday. The officials said that the attack injured 17 people, badly damaging homes. Fires were extinguished in 2 buildings, while other buildings, including residential, sustained damage. Emergency services shared images of rescue teams tackling fire, piles of smashed building materials, and ascending ladders to damaged upper stories. Now, the teams were also searching through piles of rubble to establish if others were injured. The city's mayor said there were 2 powerful explosions and said that at least 10 dwellings had been damaged. Polish truckers have agreed to suspend a protest on Tuesday that had been blocking border crossings with Ukraine since November. Poland's infrastructure minister, Dariusz Klimczak, said that the hauliers will suspend their protest until March 1st after signing an agreement with the government. The truckers will stop their blockade on Wednesday while they hold further negotiations with the ministry in order to reach a final deal by March 1st. Polish drivers had been demanding that the European Union reinstate a system whereby Ukrainian companies need permits to operate in the bloc, and the same for European truckers entering Ukraine. The Polish drivers warned that they would return to the border crossings if the infrastructure ministry failed to fulfill its pledges. Following his address at the World Economic Forum, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky attended the opening of an exhibition at Ukraine House in Davos on Tuesday. Zelensky greeted and hugged children at the event. Zelensky and Polish President Andrzej Duda toured the exhibition, in which 4 contemporary Ukrainian artists depicted Ukraine through a series of video portraits and stories. The exhibition portrays Ukrainians as they defend freedom, endure losses, and achieve victories. Thousands of people attended a protest in Cologne in Western Germany against the far right on Tuesday. The protest is one of the several over the last few days in Germany. Members of far-right opposition party Alternative for Germany had attended a meeting where expelling citizens with foreign ethnic backgrounds was discussed. Protesters attending the protest in Cologne said that they were worried about the increasing rise of right-wing ideology in Germany, with one calling for the government to do something. The AfD is soaring in polls ahead of regional and European elections this year. In the Serbian capital of Belgrade, thousands of opposition supporters rallied peacefully in an anti-government protest to demand the annulment of last month's elections, which were described by international observers as unfair. The rally was also staged to mark the 6th anniversary of the killing of Oliver Ivanovic, a moderate Kosovo Serb politician. Ivanovic was gunned down in front of his party office in 2018 in the ethnically divided town of Mitrovica. The opposition says it also wants the annulment of elections in Belgrade, which ended inconclusively and are seen by many as fraudulent. Italian, Slovenian and Croatian interior ministers met near Croatian-Slovenian border to discuss border checks and border police cooperation related to unauthorized immigration. The ministers met in the town of Bizet 3 months after Italy reinstated police checks at the border in its northeast, suspending the free movement normally allowed within most of the European Union under the Schengen Treaty. Immigration has been a hot-button issue in Europe since 2015, when more than 1 million people arrived across the Mediterranean Sea. The Western Balkans route thus accounted for over a quarter of the illegal crossings at the EU's borders in the period. After his Iowa victory, Donald Trump appeared in a federal court in New York on Tuesday for the second time in his bid to deny accusations that he defamed writer E. Jean Carroll, who accused him of sexual assault decades ago. Carroll is seeking no less than $10 million compensation in damages in a civil suit. It will bring the accusations of sexual assault back into the limelight as he seeks the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. The jury will only consider how much Carroll should receive in damages. The U.S. District Court Judge Lewis Kaplan said that the trial is expected to last between 3 to 5 days, though Donald Trump has said that he wants to testify. The election results in Taiwan have put spotlight once again on Taipei. Beijing warned the Philippines not to play with fire after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. congratulated Taiwan's President-elect Lai Ching-te for his electoral victory. On the other hand, United States expressed disappointment over Nauru's choice to sever ties with Taipei. Here's more.
Tiny island nation Nauru's decision to sever ties with Taiwan has triggered a reaction from the United States. A U.S. official who is in charge of managing unofficial ties with Taiwan expressed disappointment over Nauru's choice to sever ties with Taipei.
While the government of Nauru's action is a sovereign decision, it is nonetheless a disappointing one. The PRC often makes promises in exchange for diplomatic relations that ultimately remain unfulfilled.
On Monday, Taiwan had announced decision to sever diplomatic ties with Nauru after tiny Central Pacific island. Nauru declared its intentions to seek formal ties with China. Taiwan's defense ministry said on Tuesday it expects more military pressure from Beijing following elections.
According to the research and judgment of Defense Ministry, the PLA will continue to strengthen its pressure towards Taiwan in the near future through regular combat, readiness patrols and other activities, combining cognitive warfare and grey zone intrusions.
While Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s congratulatory words for Taiwan's President-elect Lai Ching-te angered China, Beijing on Tuesday summoned the Philippine ambassador in China and warned the Philippines not to play with fire. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party won last week's presidential election but lost its parliamentary majority. This means that President-elect Lai Ching-te may have to reach out to opposition parties to appoint a premier who will then form a cabinet. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. A Long Island architect has been charged with another murder months later after he was jailed for killing of 3 other women. Rex Heuermann has been jailed without bail, and if convicted, he will get a life term in prison without parole. In what was recorded as second volcanic eruption on the peninsula of Reykjanes in the recent weeks, the site of volcanic eruption in the outskirts of Grindavik in Iceland appeared to calm down. Officials warned that new fissures could emerge anytime, adding that the magma continued to flow underground and it was too early to declare the eruption over. Canada is experiencing record-breaking cold due to a polar vortex. Video shows everyday items like toilet paper, eggs, noodles and hot water completely frozen amidst the extremely icy temperatures in Alberta, Canada. The portions of northern Alberta are forecast to experience extremely cold temperatures that persist until later in the week. More than 200 ancient Hispanic artifacts have been brought back to Peru from various international institutions and collectors around the globe in an effort to reclaim smuggled historical items. Some of these objects are more than 2,000 years old, with the oldest dating back to 200 BC. Tickets went on sale for visitors wanting as part of an ongoing trial to check the growing number of tourists and day trippers. A one-day ticket costs $5.45 and will be valid from 8:30 to 4 p.m. local time, with penalty ranging between $54 to $326. Now, this will come into force from April 25th, which is a national holiday in Italy. A nature photographer captured the world's largest A23A iceberg, which is drifting past the northern tip of the Antarctic Peninsula, aided by strong winds and currents. The iceberg, which was once stranded after its base became stuck on the Weddell Sea floor, has been drifting off West Antarctica's Filkeron ice shelf since 1986. Satellite images show the iceberg's movement. A quick break ahead, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces a major parliamentary showdown on Wednesday over Rwanda's asylum plan. With second day of rituals being conducted in Ayodhya, last leg preparations continue to ornament the city ahead of the grand consecration of the Ram Temple. An Indian women's hockey team storms into the semi-finals of the FIH Hockey Olympic Qualifiers 2024.
Where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information. Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's get you more updates. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces a major parliamentary showdown on Wednesday over his plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. The Conservative Prime Minister on Tuesday battled to quell growing dissent over his Safety of Rwanda Asylum and Immigration Bill, testing his authority with a general election on the horizon. Parliament launched 2 days of debate about the scheme. The Conservative rebels, who backed changes to close what they say are loopholes in the legislation, will now have to decide whether to back down or join forces with opposition parties to try to defeat the government at the law's final stage in the House of Commons. With an election due later this year, many Conservative lawmakers are fearful of losing their parliamentary seats. In an after effect, Canada's planned curbs on work by international students could spark shortages of temporary workers as employers deal with a tight labour market and wage inflation grappling the economy. Earlier in December 2023, Canadian Immigration Minister Mark Miller outlined measures to address bottlenecks created by a surge in international students blamed for rental shortages. This brought unease in students who fear of exploitation due to lack of adequate government protection. Ecuador's armed forces have taken patrolling to the country's waterways as part of their efforts to combat criminal organizations. Navy officers looked over the commercial vessels and fishermen navigating near the ports in the Gulf of Guayaquil. Now, these operations provide authorities an opportunity to prevent drugs or illegal substances from being loaded into the vessels headed to Europe. After a wave of violence that struck the South American country, President Daniel Noboa declared a 60-day state of emergency last week, including nighttime curfew, and designated 22 criminal groups as terrorists. Colombian military strengthened its forces at the border with Ecuador as 43 prisoners remain at large after escaping a prison in northern Ecuador. General Eric Rodriguez said that Colombia's army was in close coordination with Ecuadorian military forces to maintain border security. Police and military personnel are present in jails throughout Ecuador after some 200 kidnapped guards and administrative officials were freed from at least 7 prisons over the weekend. Since the state of emergency was declared, security forces have detained more than 1,500 people and have carried out 41 operations against terrorist groups. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate 3 major infrastructure projects worth more than 40 billion rupees related to the port, shipping and waterways sector. Now, these major infrastructure projects are in line with Prime Minister's vision to transform India's ports, shipping and waterways sector and build capacity and self-sufficiency in it. The new dry dock built at the existing premises of CSL, Kochi, is a flagship project reflecting New India's engineering prowess. This one-of-a-kind 310 meters long stepped dry dock is one of the largest marine infrastructures in the region. The International Ship Repair Facility project is a unique facility of its own. It has a ship lift system with capacity of 6,000 T transfer system, 6 workstations and a berth of approximately 1,400 meters, which can accommodate 7 vessels of 130 meters length simultaneously. The ISRF will modernize and expand the existing ship repair capabilities of CSL and will be a step towards transforming Kochi as a global ship repair hub. The Indian Oil's LPG import terminal in Puthuvipin, Kochi, boasts of the state-of-the-art facilities. With a 15,400 MT storage capacity, the terminal will ensure a steady supply of LPG for millions of households and businesses in the region. This project will further strengthen India's efforts towards ensuring accessible and affordable energy for all. With the commissioning of these 3 projects, the nation's shipbuilding and repair capacities, as well as growth of energy infrastructure, including ancillary industries, will get a boost. The projects will also boost EXIM trade, reduce logistics costs, drive economic growth, build self-reliance, and create numerous domestic and international business opportunities. And now we get you all the buzz which is being generated in the build-up to the consecration ceremony of the Ram Temple in India's holy city of Ayodhya on 22nd of this month. Preparations are complete. The temple courtyard is decorated. Now 1.4 billion Indians are eagerly waiting for the consecration ceremony of Ram Temple in Ayodhya on January 22nd. The 7-day rituals of the consecration ceremony of the Ram Temple already began on Tuesday. Meanwhile, engaging in the age-old tradition to symbolize the spiritual significance of the upcoming ceremony, several earthen lamps lit up along the serene banks of Saryu River. A Kalash Yatra was held at Lata Mangeshkar Chowk in Ayodhya, with locals and visitors showing equal enthusiasm to partake in whatever way and form they can in the grand event, terming it as a once-in-a-millennia historical event. Let's take a look at other stories from Ayodhya making it to the headlines. Live paintings depicting Ram Temple and Lord Ram made by artists from Mumbai were on display in Ayodhya ahead of the consecration ceremony on January 22nd. Sand art depicting the life of Lord Ram is on display in Ayodhya. 6 members team made structure of Lord Ram and the temple at Lata Mangeshkar Chowk. Preparations for inauguration of Ram Temple in Ayodhya are in full swing, and the fervor is just going to escalate as Ram Leela depicting the life of Lord Ram has been organized in Ayodhya. All right, a quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. On the birth anniversary of the 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the celebrations begin in the Golden Temple, Amritsar, in the Indian state of Punjab. This is the 357th birth anniversary of the 10th Sikh Guru. The Gurudwara was decorated beautifully with colourful flowers as people thronged in large numbers to seek the blessings. A cooking competition, Home Chef, was organised in India's Jammu and Kashmir. More than 100 individuals participated in the competition. The purpose of this competition was to provide a specific platform to entrepreneurs and promote cooking culture. Kashmir is a famous destination for local and traditional cuisine. The Indian government has set a target to reduce the accidental death by 50% by 2030. India's Union Road, Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari said that road safety is the topmost priority of the government, and it has taken several decisions to improve road safety. A fancy dress ice skating competition was organized in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. This year, the organizers have good sessions as clear weather has provided skating climate for them. Over 100 boys and girls participated in the event. The local residents and the students enjoyed the charm of over a century-old Shimla Ice Skating Club. On to sports now. India's world number 2 and Asian Games gold medalists Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty will be in the doubles action today. Apart from them, the country's men's double squad at the Indian Open consists of M.R. Arjun and Dhruv Kapila, as well as Sai Prateek and Krishna Prasad Garaga. Kidambi Srikanth, Kiran George and Satish Karunakaran are also part of India's men's singles squad at the event. India's Sumit Nagal has created history as he became the first Indian to reach the second round of the Australian Open after 11 years. The Indian #1 tennis star outclassed 31st seed Alexander Bublik in straight sets 6-4, 6-2, 7-6 to progress into the second round of the prestigious tournament. After the historic win, Sumit Nagal shares his feelings with DD India. Let's listen in.
I was keeping my focus very narrow, trying to focus on myself as much as possible. Of course, you know there's a score behind you, you know what is going on. but I was really trying hard to do the things that I was supposed to do on the court and keep working on the tactics. It's a very proud and happy moment, I would say. Probably my second time in my career that I made a second round of a slam, beating a seed for the first time. It was a very good match. I'm happy the way I could perform today.
All right, from tennis to hockey now. The Indian women's hockey team stormed into the semi-finals after a splendid 5-1 win against Italy. Udita, Deepika, Salima Tete and Navneet Kaur scored winning goals for India. In the next hurdle towards winning a Paris Olympic berth, India will take on table toppers of Pool A, Germany, in the semi-final on 18th of January, while in the other semi-final, USA will take on Japan. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.